I'm known to be quite vexing. I'm just forewarning you.
Lady, shut up!
Welcome back, Screen Ranters. You look well. With the Birds of Prey trailer hitting the internet and blowing minds around the world, we wanted to look at one of the film's characters. Everyone's favorite half-clown, half-tough lass, Harley Quinn. While she may not exactly have any superpowers, she's still not someone to be taken lightly. In fact, she might just be the darn tootin' most dangerous person to walk in the DCEU, even including Superman and his amateur chiropractic powers. Ready to know more about the Harley Quinn of Gotham? Oh wow, I just understood her name. Anyway, keep watching the video to see just how tough Quinn really is.
Harley Quinn, nice to meet ya.
Before we start, quick disclaimer. We're only taking into consideration her DCEU facts. The comics won't be making a surprise appearance. Or will they? No, they won't. Nor will her debut appearance in Batman the Animated Series. Also, this is, of course, pre-Birds of Prey, so her story may be changed in that future film. So if you're watching this in the future, how's the zombie apocalypse? Anywho, if you're a regular viewer to these types of vids, then you know exactly how we're going to kick off this examination into Quinn. Origin story! Not much is known about her upbringing, but we do know Harley used to go by a different name, that being Harleen Quinzel. Gifted with a high IQ and an interest in the human mind, Quinzel would pursue a degree in the realm of psychology. So much so that she was offered a job as a psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum. You know, the place Batman drops off all his rogues before they quickly escape and the Bat capture cycle repeats. She then met with one particular fellow that caught Dr. Quinzel's eye.
Blah, 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 blah.
Unknowingly, she slowly fell in love with him. So when the Jared Leto Joker asked her for a favor, Harleen did it.
Now that's good work.
Even if that favor was bringing a loaded weapon into Arkham. As he escapes, he decides to show his appreciation by applying some electroshock therapy to the Doc's noggin. Nice guy! It scrambled her broken psyche even further. Anyway, that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the start of 2016's Suicide Squad. Quinn then goes on to become one of the main pawns in Task Force X. The group of wary heroes save the world and get 10 years taken off their prison sentences. And an espresso machine if you're Harley. Not a good deal there. Wow, that is a lot of info to go through, but we're not quite done yet. We now go over to an in-depth Harley analysis. Like we mentioned, Harley isn't a powered-up metahuman. No powers at all.
You know what the problem with the metahuman is? The human part.
She doesn't have the luxury of being an Amazonian like Wonder Woman. She also isn't filthy rich like some bat-obsessed characters. But regardless, Quinn isn't to be taken lightly without powers. She is at peak human condition, meaning Quinn's on par with the world's top athletes. It's in a similar vein to the Caped Crusader. She's also shown that she's a master acrobat. As we're introduced to her, she shows some of those mad skills in her cell, but she can also use her acrobatics in battle. Harley was able to dodge attacks and turn the fight in her favor, especially with the bubbly beings. All she needed was a flip or two. Then, presto, she was in charge.
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
As she hangs on the rope from Joker's stolen helicopter, she is doing all sorts of aerial acrobatics. Even after Deadshot fires and misses on purpose, she fakes that she was hit effortlessly. That takes a very strong core. We get tired just from standing up. Beyond the dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge skills, Quinn can also smack some fools about with her offense. She's a highly skilled combatant, especially in the hand-to-hand department. She was able to put 5 highly trained, highly armed Belle Reve lackeys in the hospital. When Harley was selected to be in Task Force X, she took out 2 more until the remaining guards cheated and tasered the Quinn machine with her bare hands. On top of that, she's also pretty handy with a melee weapon. She was able to beat many bubbly monsters with the use of her signature baseball bat, as well as blocking incoming attacks. And she's not limited to her own tools. At the end of Suicide Squad, she swiftly used Katana's sword on Enchantress, exposing the mystical witch's magic heart. This act opened up the possibility of Task Force X saving the day. Harley is also a pretty good shot. She regularly carried around her Magnum revolver to give herself an extra edge. While her aim isn't up there with Hawkeye or fellow Task Force X friend Deadshot, she's still no slouch. As the bubbly abominations attacked, Harley took many of them down with her Silver Savior, often hitting the target with lethal consequences. Stepping away from the punching and kicking malarkey, Quinn is a pretty bright bulb. She is a doctor after all. They don't give those out to just anyone. True, her PhD was before her whole trip down unstable lane, however that actually works in her favor too. During the Suicide Squad's character introductions, we see that Harley is noted as a wild card. This factor can make her motivations difficult to predict for her allies. Yet, it does the same for her enemies. Due to her instability, Harley isn't concerned with most dangers. As Joker's driving away from Arkham, she recklessly skids along on a motorbike to stop him. And that's before she gets dunked in chemicals.
Just psychotic, antisocial freaks. It makes no sense.
Afterwards, any remaining danger fears in her noggin become near evaporated. Batman is known for intimidating villains into making mistakes, but it has no effect on Harley. The only issue she has comes when she's staring into oblivion, such as when the car drops into the river. She screams out in fear about being unable to swim just as the car touches the water. Harley often alludes that her mental health might be more unreliable than is first shown. She states at one point in Suicide Squad that she hears voices, only to joke about what the voices told her to do. Later on, she asks if everyone else can see the wackiness going on in front of them.
Everyone can see all this trippy magic stuff, right?
When they concur, Quinn states that she's off her meds, so she needed to check. Is she a big, unpredictable volcano barely hanging on to the realm of reality? Or is she just messing with people to disarm them? Or is she giving herself some kind of entertainment? We'll leave that up to you in the comments. Mostly because we couldn't decide.
And this is what makes you such a good reporter.
Harley's expert psychology skills come in very handy. Harley is able to motivate El Diablo to use his incredible firepower. She also uses her skills to get under the skin of pretty much every character.
Japanese, female, mid-20s, 5'5".
Quinn is able to use her doctorate to dish out on-the-fly diagnoses, such as when she's calling Deadshot another casebook sociopath. Harley is also a pretty good tactician. Before she felt the bite of the hero bug, she devised a plan to escape Task Force X with Captain Boomerang and Deadshot. Later on, as the plan to save the world was falling apart, Quinn created a new one in order to defeat Enchantress. Speaking of, Quinn has another skill in her utility belt. She's a rather great manipulator and liar. She was able to convince Enchantress, a near godlike being, that she was jumping ship and joining her team, only to have a very different intention, a very slicey-dicey one. We may have touched on her weapons, but now we'll give you the full scoop. Kicking things off, we have her bat. It's just a wooden baseball bat. No lasers or Iron Man-esque roller skates. Yep, that was a thing. But it has been customized for her. It has the words "Good Night" written across it, probably to be polite as she knocks folks out. She uses the bat with such ease that she tackles the bubbly beasts and bonks them on the head. However, due to the lack of super strength, it had little effect when it was used on Enchantress. Harley also has another hitty weapon in her arsenal, that being the wooden mallet that rarely leaves her side. At least in parts of the flashbacks. Sadly, she decides not to use it in Suicide Squad. Instead, she favored bringing Good Night along. But could we see the mallet make a return in Harley's next DCEU appearance? We can only hope. On top of her main weapons, Harley also carries a small knife with her. As Batman tries to save her life, she responds by trying to poke him with it. That is what Bats gets for being a good Samaritan, apparently. Quinn also has her Magnum revolver. It is a customized Chiappa Rhino 60DS, which is a pretty powerful piece of hardware. She used it many times to take down the bubbly critters with pretty good effect. For some reason, each cylinder has either love or hate inscribed on it. Taking into account her name, maybe Harley really likes that classic biker knuckle tattoo. But perhaps she didn't want to fully commit? No idea. Beyond all the weapons, she has her costume.
What?
Which doesn't provide anything in the battle department. It's not armored or has an AI to chat to or anything cool like that.
And?
She did have the classic Harley Quinn outfit as we saw in the flashback with Joker, but for most of Suicide Squad, it was a smaller outfit that she wore. Maybe that provided some sort of tactical advantage? Again, no idea.
Come on, let's go.
So, what are her weaknesses? Well, that of any non-powered human, really. She's susceptible to all the potential issues that we all have. No need for a kryptonite spear when facing off with her. A regular one will do just fine. It's easy to mistake Harley as just the kooky sidekick to Mr. J. However, now that we've laid out her credentials, she's actually quite an overlooked powerhouse in DC. If anything, she might be more of a threat than her former puddin'. Quinn's next appearance in The Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn will show just what the Queen of Gotham is really capable of.
I love this guy.
And that's a wrap. Who would win between Batman with no prep time or Harley? Fight it out in the comments below. Don't forget to like and share the video. Otherwise, you might miss something key, like this video. Finally, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.